Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night at the local time. The most important updates, as usually these days, are coming from Avdiivka direction. We have additional geolocations, we have some changes on map, more updates and so on. And of course the most important question we have, everybody has this today, this night, the previous evening, whether the Russians managed to establish physical control over industrial aid, or just fire control over industrial aid, or the updates in news that we received during the previous evening and this night were just rumors and wishful thinking. Very difficult to understand what is the correct answer to this question. The only thing we can know for sure is that according to the most of the mappers, the Russians managed to establish control over the gas stations along the industrial aid. This information was confirmed either by pro-Ukrainian sources and pro-neutral sources, and of course pro-Russian sources. But when talking about physical geolocations, about real videos, we have two geolocated videos from the same territory, and the geolocations are coming from this intersection of streets and of, let's say, buildings and so on. We have two videos. Let's take a look at them for better understanding of the situation. On this video, for example, we can see one episode of clashes for the industrial aid. We see the Ukrainian Pro-Max was counter-attacking the Russian positions. A machine gunner was attacking, probably blind fire without even understanding where are the Russian positions. He was just attacking in the direction with machine gun, trying to suppress the Russians, to pin them down, not to allow them maybe to attack. Maybe he had different purposes, like of redeployment of some forces and many other things. Of course, he tried to achieve by that attack. Anyway, this video was split cuts into many episodes, and most of them were geolocated. So if we return back on map, the Ukrainian, let's say this is Max Pro, the Ukrainians were attacking something like this. The video started in this area, and Ukrainian Max Pro was moving along this small street, and he entered and reached this line with his Max Pro. From this position, the Ukrainians were attacking the Russian forces. Some were in this direction. The Ukrainians were attacking the Russians somewhere in this direction. After a few seconds of attack, the Max Pro stepped back a little bit, and from these positions, the Ukrainian Max Pro started attacking the Russian positions on this direction. So this is the things that were that video shown us, and the things that we could geolocate according to that video. What does this video confirms? First of all, this video doesn't confirm that the Russians managed to establish control over industrial aid, because if the Russians were here in the gas station, obviously the Ukrainians didn't have such a, let's say, easy possibility to move along the street without the risk of being attacked into the flank, something like this. I'm talking, let's say, with anti-tank missile, let's say, to attack the Ukraine Max Pro, let's say, in the right flank of armored vehicle. Obviously, this video confirms that there are no progress of the Russian forces in direction of industrial aid, and that the main Russian positions were somewhere to the north of the let's say, motor depot. Another video we got from the same area, probably with the same Max Pro. After that Max Pro attacked the Russian positions, it moved to this small street between two buildings, and they were staying, and that Max Pro was staying here, waiting for some order or maybe something like this. And at some moment, we see the Russian artillery strike, probably mortar strike. The Russians missed. They didn't get the Max Pro, and then there was some panic. Maybe they were trying to understand whether the system malfunctioned, maybe whether the Max Pro was damaged or not, but nothing more. So this video confirms for 100% that the Ukrainians still control the industrial area, let's say, between industrial aid and the railway. So this territory, according to this video, at least by the time when this video was made, is still under Ukrainian control. When talking about other things, we know for sure that the Russians have positions to the north of the main barracks and main hangars of motor depot, and as you can see, we have adjusted the map based on that geolocation. Once again, whether the Russians managed to cut physical industrial aid, we can't tell you, and to tell the truth, based on the open source, nobody can confirm you this information for 100%. But even regarding this, whether the Russians managed or not, even even these positions to control this territory is enough for the Russian forces to cut and to establish complete fire control over the main supply road that goes through industrial ave. We can say that the Russians do have control over industrial ave, even if their edge positions are located in the fields and the sector and the area around the motor depot. But once again, I'm not saying that the Russians haven't captured and established control over gas stations. Very likely they managed to do this, but yet we haven't received even a single geolocated confirmation that can tell us or show us something like this. Furthermore, we continue receiving updates from the Ukrainian side, which also confirms the Russian progress in direction of industrial ave. And according to information we have, that starting this morning, the Ukrainians tried to counterattack the Russian forces in the vicinity of industrial ave, using probably the forces of third Air Assault Brigade, and the Ukrainians are trying to attack something like this. Yet this is just like my projections without any geolocated, confirmation of such a progress. Nobody knows for sure how exactly and how the things develops in this area. Another important thing that you need to understand, that most of the mappers, when talking about this territory, made their changes on the map, made their adjustments on the map based on conclusions and the changes of deep state map. And this is very important because during the previous months there were a few cases when deep state map changed their own map, or for example in Russian favor, but with one simple purpose. They made the changes, let's say, first in Russian favor, but basically when talking about the situation on the ground, there were no activity in that sector. And after a few days, deep state returned those territories with notes that the Ukrainians, as a result of counter-offensive operation, managed to restore control over significant territories and to force the Russians to step back. So everything might happen. We need more time. We need to understand exactly what is happening here, because one of the most powerful Russian source who made geolocations on the ground reported today confirms my words that yet we haven't received, and there is no information in the open source, in the internet, in Telegram, in Twitter, in any other social network that can confirm or tell us or show us the real progress of the Russian forces along the industrial ave. So for now we are going to keep this territory as a gray zone until receiving more additional information or confirmations about this territory. Anyway, the situation for the Ukrainians is critical. And today we got report that Zelensky collected his generals, including Syrsky, and currently right now, let's say at 11 a.m. of the local time, they are having a meeting with the topic and discussion what to do next and how the situation is going to develop next. Very likely that they will make a decision to abandon Avdiivka at all, because we continue receiving that every single minute, every single second, the Ukrainians, Avdiivka is, the groups of Ukrainians from 10 till 15 soldiers in different directions try to evacuate and to run away from Avdiivka. And according to some pro-Ukrainian sources, there is a report that just during the previous 2 days, the garrison of Ukrainian forces inside of Avdiivka was reduced for 30% just because of uncontrolled evacuation and abandoning of positions by the Ukrainian forces. So a lot of things, and the most probably important update is that according to information we have from pro-Russian, more or less reliable sources, the Russians are not going to continue developing their offensive operation, like massive development along industrial ave. They will try to hold the, let's say, the gains they managed to achieve, or maybe few attacks to the north, east, south, west, with the purpose to increase the foothold and to secure. But according to the Russian sources, the most powerful attack is expected today, and this attack has already started from Vadiana in direction of the same block, in direction of the fields. So this is the attack that the Russians are trying to implement starting this morning, and the main purpose of this attack is to establish control over additional fields between 9th quarter, between the road Severna, Avdiivka from the south, and this attack will create a cauldron, not the further development of Russian foothold along industrial ave, but the Russian progress from Vadiana Oputna to the northeast in direction of Avdiivka will establish and will design the final shape of the cauldron of Avdiivka cauldron. So let's read this let's say article in details. According to information we have, the second group of Russian forces managed to improve their position for additional kilometer in direction of Vinogradniki. So this is Vinogradniki, and according to the Russians, additional group developed their positions from Oputna in this area, and we have also control confirms by Syriac map, and according to the mappers, this territory is under complete Russian control. There is still one road left from Vinogradniki and from Cheburashka and former air defense. This one the Ukrainians can use to evacuate forces to Avdiivka, but very likely that 100% soldiers who use this road can survive as a result of the movements or something like this. And also another important thing is that the Russians are moving from Vadiana Oputna in direction of 9th quarters. So this is the attempt, this is the purpose, and once again the goal is to, let's say, capture additional tree lines like this one, to capture the strongholds, to bypass the minefields, and to establish physical and fire control over the road between Severna and 9th quarter. And this is going to be the design of let's say Avdiivka cauldron. So let's wait. Today obviously is decisive day. Let's wait for Ukrainian decisions of Ukrainian commanders. Obviously they will try to do something, because for example, when talking about some steps from the Ukrainian side, they have already launched and started media campaign about Avdiivka, and we're talking not about Avdiivka itself, but according to information we have, today, the Ukrainian special forces managed to discover and to destroy another Russian big marine ship by the name of Cesar Kunikov. This ship was destroyed in the Black Sea. It's the biggest marine ship that Russia still has in the let's say the Black Sea. This is the Cesar Kunikov. This is the picture of him. So it's like another ship, probably during just 1 month, that was destroyed by the Ukrainians. The last time the Ukrainians destroyed Ivanovitz, this one, this is like a ship with missiles, that marine ship. So as you can see, the Ukrainians continue destroying the Russian fleet, and this is a part of media campaign. Obviously, this operation was prepared a long time ago, and the Ukrainians were waiting a proper time to launch this attack. And as we understand, the Avdiivka cauldron is the best time when it's better to start this operation, because it will allow at least to reduce the noise around Avdiivka. It will change and move the focus of Ukrainians to the Black Sea, and now the Ukrainians probably have possibility to make a very difficult decisions, including decision to step back from Avdiivka and abandon completely the stronghold in favor to save the personal and to save the lives of Ukrainian soldiers. So anyway, this is something like this. When talking about other directions, of course, very interesting few details here. Updates are coming from Novomikhailivka. The Russians managed to develop their attacks and positions further in the eastern part of the village. Few more streets and blocks were captured by them, according to some mappers. And important updates are coming from Bakhmut Artyomov's direction. During the previous night, the Russians continue bombing and attacking the Ukrainians in the block in Canal fortification area. We have few FOBs arrived. We have FPV drone strikes along the main defense belt, and we have additional control from the 98th Air Mobile Division from this area, who described the situation. Once again, according to them, the Russians, they confirmed the situation, the things we were discussing in the past, and according to the 98th Division, the Russians managed to establish control over the Bel Kolokolchik fortification and Popovo forest. And Bel fortification is this forest. This information was confirmed by division themselves. So this is the current Russian progress according to that division, and this is very reliable source, to tell the truth. Yes, they haven't provided the video, but this is like the information from the first, let's say, hands of from official Telegram channel of this division itself. And furthermore, they confirms about additional progress in direction of Ivanovska and in direction of Chasov Yar. So everything is confirmed that we discussed in the previous days. Attacks to Ivanovska and attacks in direction of Canal and in direction of Chasov Yar itself. So another interesting things are coming from Konstantinovka, from Slaviansk. According to information we have, the commander-in-chief, the Zaluzhny, arrived in Kramatorsk as well, probably before the meeting with Zelensky that currently takes place in Kiev. He arrived in Kramatorsk with the purpose to discuss the situation and to make a very critical, important decisions about further offensive operation, about the further defense operation. Very likely they were talking about possibilities, reserves, and so on. We don't know about the decisions they made as a result of that meeting, but obviously the decisions are very difficult, as well as the decisions about Avdiivka and so on. So this is the situation on the ground. Today is decisive day. Once again, we're gonna receive more updates, but when talking about other things that are very important is that, according to information we have, Zelensky plans to tour Western Europe to lobby for aid to Ukraine. This is a very important update, because the most important thing of this update is not that Ukrainians are planning to this tour to ask for help and so on. Basically, the Western authorities, NATO, United States of America, took a decision to remove Zelensky from Ukraine during this difficult and tough period of time. They basically removed him just to keep him in secure area while the clashes in Avdiivka, while some risk and possible riots in army and many other things during the difficult situation here. Furthermore, we have report about the beginning of the NATO military exercises in the eastern part of Poland. The first mission is to exercise and train the skills to redeploy forces, significant number of forces for very big distances from, let's say, western part of Germany to the eastern part of Poland. Also today, another Ramstein meeting is going to take place in Germany, where the donors and countries that support Ukraine will make a decision about transferring F-16s to Ukraine during the spring. So very likely they will make some, let's say, decisions, but according to information we have, at least the most powerful countries, including close in oil currently, are not able to participate in this meeting due to the health issues and so on. So very difficult to understand what kind of meeting is this going to be. And we have a report from Josep Borrell, who confirms that after the president elections in Russian Federation, there are going to be another massive and biggest full-scale offensive operation from the Russian side, and the area the Russians are planning to attack is unknown, or at least Borrell doesn't provide any information. But as we discussed, very likely this is going to be attack in direction of Ovchansk and in direction of Kupinsk direction or something like this. And we have report from the Senate. As you know, currently there are very big, very let's say tough and hot debates about the military aid to Ukraine, Israel and Taiwan. For now there are no updates, but according to information we have, that the Senate passed foreign aid bill entangled in Johnson-Massey House GOP fight. So we understand this law is not going to be adopted by the US authorities, but we'll see what is going to be. Who knows what is going to be next. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes to my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.